Welcome back, Life Sciences. Definitely need a break when we're doing the plant section. Right, so we've looked at plant tissue. Now we're going to take those tissues and we're going to put them into plant organs. Now, I cannot stress the importance between structure and function. What is a plant organ? The plant organs we're going to look at are the roots, a stem, and a leaf. We're not going to look at the flower. The flower you look at later. All right, so what do you need? You need to think, what does a root need to do? Transport water. What does the stem need to do? Needs to be strong, needs to be upright. It's got to hold the leaves, strong support. Right? What does the leaf need to do? A leaf needs to photosynthesize. Oxygen and carbon dioxide need to come in and out. Leaf also loses water through transpiration. So when we look at the structure of each of those organs, we've got to think about, okay, what tissue would be best for that particular organ? Remember what I said to you, the tissues now make up the organs. All right, so guys, this, I'm going to be honest with you, going through past test papers with you, this is an important diagram. I've noticed a lot of questions are on the root, structure of the root. Now, how do I know it's the structure of the root? I know it's the structure of the root. This gives it away, all right? It's the root hair. The root hair is these little, all right, epidermal hairs around the end. Look here, epidermis, epidermal tissue. Yes, I've given this the word over here, cortex, because that's an area. But what kind of tissue is it? Parenchyma. When I teach this section, I must be honest with you, I give my kids all the tissues, and then I make them with a little circle, and if they color it in. So and I give them these organs, and I make them color in each area so that they have an idea of the tissue with the different structure that we're going to look at. Now, what is the function of a root? To absorb water. Water must come in, it must move all the way. Guys, it's a treasure map. X marks the spot. What is X? Xylem, right? That's where the water is going to move to. What is phloem? Phloem is going to transport the food. What is a pericycle? It's a new word, but what is it actually? All right, it's meristematic tissue. Why? Because what does it do? It gives rise to lateral roots, grows outwards. So do you see? Here's epidermal. Here's my transport. What do you notice that I'm missing? Support. Why don't I need parenchyma and sclerenchyma? Guys, my root is in the ground. Right? It doesn't need support. Next time you eat a carrot, chop a carrot sideways, guys. Look, there we go. The round circle of the carrot, that's exactly what it is in the middle. Okay, a stem. Now, when we come to stems, there's a dicotyledon and a monocotyledon. And that's all about what is in, all right, the embryo. A dicotyledon has two, all right, parts. A mono has one. Now again, when we look at it, what do we notice? This is not a root hair. Why do I know it's not a root hair? Because it's not a root. So it would probably be a trichome, because trichomes are hairs on stems. Now here, look at this, cortex. Guys, this is parenchyma, packing. All of this is like my take-a-lot box that I get. Now, do you notice these little things? These are called my vascular bundles. What have they got inside them? Xylem to transport water, phloem to transport, all right, food. But what have I got here? Look here at the top. Sclerenchyma. What's underneath here? Parenchyma. Why do I have sclerenchyma and parenchyma? What do I want? Support. Strength, it's a stem. I want to go upwards. When it comes to a dicot stem, dicots have got this very visible circle. And that leads us, guys, to this. Dicot stems can grow wider. It's called secondary thickening. And when we cut down a tree, all right, each of these rings is 1 year's growth. All right, so we can see when we count the rings, we can actually see how, all right, old the tree is. And the reason why we can do that is new xylem and new phloem grow because they've got cambium, meristematic tissue. Remember what I said? Meristematic, meristem is areas that are going to grow wide. The sister to this is a monocot. All right, this is your millies. These are your millies. Very different. Look here. Lovely ring, secondary thickening. Guys, I grow my millie and I cut it down every year. I don't want something that's going to last forever. What have I got? What's all this tissue over here? Ground tissue. What's another word for ground tissue? Parenchyma. All right. What do I have? There we go. Parenchyma. A vascular bundle. What is in a vascular bundle? Xylem and phloem. What do you think I've got on the outside of my stem? Epidermis. And what do you think is just underneath the epidermis? Parenchyma. All right, so what have I got? Here, epidermis covering my packing and my transporting. All my tissues, but just in a different arrangement. Okay, guys, here's a question. And this question is pretty much the same diagram that I've used. And as I said to you, the root diagram I noticed is quite an important diagram when it comes to, all right, the different questions. So it says, study the diagram below. There's two of them. They've actually given you a nice little hint here. They've said it's a dicot root, and there they've said it's a root hair, and obviously there are questions that are going to be on those, right? So we're linking again, right, the root, and where did we did the root hair? Go back to plant tissue, right? So all of them are going to interlink with each other. So the first question, provide labels for 1 and 2. Now 1, that's the root hair. That's what you're going to say. And number 2 is the layer, the same as the root hair. We know a root hair is a specialized what cell? Number 2 is going to be, now it says here, labels epidermal tissue, right? Or you could have said epidermis, because those are the two labels that they would have been. Now, the next question. Give the number of the tissue. Guys, here, all right, luckily you don't have to give a name, so if you're a little bit clueless, you can guess the number. Giving the name and the number sometimes makes it a little bit more difficult, but this question is a little bit on the lower order side. Okay, but now you have to know your function. Which number gives rise to lateral roots? Now your lateral roots, all right, is going to be your meristematic. Remember? Meristematic tissue. Now your meristematic tissue over here, now if we have a look, that's 1, that's 2. Number 3 goes to there. Number 4 goes to there. Number 5 goes to that tissue. Number 6, number 7, number 8. Now what we're looking at, this layer is the endodermis, and just underneath it, right underneath it, layer number 5, right, is your, gives rise to lateral roots. I'm going to give the name here, just so that you know. It is the pericycle. That's what it's called. All right, next one, number B. Transports organic food. That I'm looking for is phloem. Now, always think the X is always going to be xylem. Phloem is always in the arms of the xylem. That is going to be number 6. Okay, so number 6 there. Number C, stores starch in the root. Storage, packing. So when we think about storing of starch, right, remember that's your potatoes, guys. Your potatoes, this could be what your potato looks like as well. Where do I store things? I store things here in my parenchyma. And that's going to be number 7. The area is called the cortex, right, but the cell is called the parenchyma cell. Then number D, transports water. That's X marks the spot. That is going to be my xylem, and my xylem is number 4. Right, if we had to do the words, that would be my xylem as well. Okay, next question. Quite an important one when it comes to the root hair. Give one way, but look at the mark allocation for 2, in which the root hair is structurally adapted for its function. Guys, that means you must give a really well-explained reason. For example, the root hair is elongated, right, which means it increases the surface area. Do you see? 2 marks there. Right, even though it's one reason with an example. What else could you have said here? Now, we're running out of time, so I just want to go. The large vacuole, you could have said to store water. That could be another one. You could have said a thin cell wall. Why? So water can move through. Right, you could have said no cuticle. Why? Again, for water to move through. Right, so very important that we understand, all right, the concept of how a root hair is adapted to its function.